Right now, Kayden, I'm setting up my camera. And then I'm gonna sit beside you. We're gonna have a lot of fun. All right, I think we're good to go. Is it okay if I sit beside you? Hello. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for the hug. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet of you. I'm so happy we're friends and we get to meet today. It's really nice of you to give me a hug. What can others do to be inclusive of Kaden?
Look her in the eyes, talk with her like you would any other person, and just be ready for a possible really, really hard hug.
My name is Chris, and I came here to be your friend. Thank you. If you had to introduce Kaden to the world, what would you say?
I would say she's the sweetest because she has such a kind heart, because she always wants to snuggle and cuddle.
Does she like making new friends?
She loves making new friends. We will be out places and her biggest thing is to reach out and grab a new friend to try to introduce herself, right? And then give hugs just like this. She loves to give hugs, right? I know. You're so happy. You're very, very sweet.
Hey. Now I'd like to honor the way that you communicate, and I'm gonna shut my big mouth and we'll just be together for a little bit.
Welcome to SBSK. We believe that everybody has a story that's worthy of being heard. When we listen to one another, the world becomes a closer place, and we all benefit together. So without hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
I'm having a wonderful time connecting with Kaden. Can you tell me about the way she communicates?
Well, she's showing you, for one. She is very, very expressive with her communication. With her eyes and her smile, her gestures, her hugs. She's very, very affectionate.
And I'm sure that's something that you appreciate.
Yes, absolutely. She loves that physical touch and the sensory feeling, but there's also so much love behind it too.
So it sounds like she has a lot of ways to communicate.
She does. She really does. And a lot of it is very expressive, because just as much as her wanting to be close to you and touch you and be very, very affectionate, she'll also let you know if there's something that she doesn't like or that she doesn't want to do, which we're very grateful for, because we want to enjoy and do all the things that she has fun doing, but it's also nice for her to let us know when she's finished doing something. And this, her tapping her leg like that, is signing for her dogs.
Tell me about the signs she does know.
So she does signing. Her left side of her body is a little bit weaker than her right due to her seizures. And so with her signing, it's more just with her right hand. So with traditional ASL, it's a little bit more difficult to decipher exactly what her signs are until you know her a little bit. And we go through and we'll explain, she has her yes and her no that she does with just her right hand. So with her signing and that, she's thinking, and she also does that when she wants a nose boop, right? Do you want a boop? You want to lean in and get it? Go. Get it. Boop.
Tell me about her love of nose boops.
So it's been since she was in elementary school. She's in high school now, and she still, to this day, loves the good nose boop game.
Your parents told me all about you. They told me you're kind, you love hugs, and they also told me that you love boops. Like that. They told me you think it's really funny when people boop you. So I thought we could celebrate our friendship with lots of boops. Is it okay if I give you a boop? Boop! Boop! I'm a sound effect guy, so I have to yell boop when I do a boop. Boop! Do you like giving boops? Do you want to give me a boop? You're more of a getter of the boop. Boop, 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 boop. When did she have her first seizure?
She had her first seizure when she was 7 months old, and we weren't sure that that's what it was. It kind of looked like she was nodding off and falling asleep, and it was repetitive though. And so when we took her to the hospital, that's when she was diagnosed with seizures called infantile spasms. Thank you. That's a great hug.
Up to that point, was she meeting all of her milestones?
Yes. Yep. She was pulling up. She was standing up at furniture. She was doing great, making a lot of sounds and progressing normally at that time.
Can you tell me about the different seizures that Kayden experiences and what each one means?
Sure. So she has myoclonic jerks, which are just a brief twitch of the muscles. It can be within her face, it can be her legs or her arms, but it's very brief, very mild. There isn't anything we need to do to respond to those. Then she has tonic seizures, which is a stiffening of her body. So she'll tense up and she kind of turns to the left, and it will make her fall if she isn't already sitting. Those are the ones that she does have a VNS implant in that's to help stop the seizures. So we swipe that with a magnet to try to help get the seizures to stop. And then if that doesn't work, then that's when we have to go in to using a rescue if those seizures continue.
What does the VSN implant do?
So it's an implanted box into her chest under her left pec muscle that has a wire that's connected to her vagal nerve in her neck. And it stimulates that nerve to send an impulse to the brain to stop those seizures, or at least lessen it if it doesn't completely stop it.
How would you describe Kayden to the world?
Kayden is a fun-loving little girl, loves cuddling, loves touching, loves colors, loves sounds, loves being around people.
What is it like to be her dad?
It's great. She's it's nice when she signs for me. She loves kisses. She loves Donald Duck sounds that Daddy makes.
Can I hear them?
You want to hear Donald Duck?
Oh boy, I love you, Kaden.
That was surprisingly good.
Yeah, she enjoyed it. When we went to Disney and they had the characters come around, they're not allowed to talk. So I did it for them and they found that quite interesting. So she was smiling at me more than the characters though. But she's always loved that.
What is Kayden's diagnosis?
Kayden has generalized epilepsy, and she's also considered on the autism spectrum.
Do you know how the seizures have impacted her brain over the 16 years?
So we've continued to have MRI scans and different things done. And other than some brain inflammation, there's no lesions or scars or damage that we can see. We do see that, she's had a delay in things and that she isn't able to speak, but for overall, the structure of her brain is still completely normal and there doesn't seem to be any damage. So we're just still moving on to try and find more answers.
Do you believe that the epilepsy and the autism are symptoms of a greater genetic condition?
Yes, 100%. In speaking with our doctors, the many doctors we've seen and discussed and worked with over the past several years, we believe there is some type of genetic component. The overall genetic testing so far, they've not found anything per se, but the fact that there hasn't been any type of trauma to her brain or a malformation that may have caused something, she doesn't have any of those. So that's why they're leaning more towards the genetic side of it.
And I see you're looking at the bright lights. and the camera. The reason I brought the bright lights and the camera is because I want people to see how they can be your friend. Do you like making new friends? If you like making new friends, give me a high five. Or a hug. A hug is a valid response to that question.
You know, it's easy to you just think that she can't understand because she doesn't speak. But you know, we especially when I sit with her when we're watching TV or whatever we're doing, you know, and her mom does the same thing. We're very purposeful in making sure we're talking like we would anybody else. Mm-hmm. And you know, she gives you acknowledgments, and we know that she's processing. But you know, sometimes it's hard for people because silence is uncomfortable for a lot of people. But that doesn't mean that you don't understand, right? Yep.
On a normal day, how many seizures does she experience?
On a normal day, it's typically, we don't really count the myoclonic jerks. Those just kind of happen on and off throughout the day. But we're happy to say that she really only has maybe 1 or 2 of the tonics per week. So we're very happy that those don't happen daily.
Did they used to?
Yes. Maybe about 2 years ago, she was having 40 to 60 of those per month. And that was really tough on her. And it made daily life and school routines and her outside activities really difficult to participate in when she would have so many.
What changed?
We had started some new medications.
The tonic ones that she has a few times a month, as we've gotten better control with the medications, she's had less, but it's almost a false sense of security because then we don't know when they're going to happen because they still do. So we just have to kind of be hyper vigilant at all times. You know, I have a pretty demanding job. I'm a director of pharmacy at a hospital. And so I'll go to work, she'll go to school, my wife will pick her up, and then we'll tag team in the evenings to get stuff done, right?
Have you seen a change in her since those seizures decreased?
Oh, yes. She has been an even better version of herself. You know, she was always tough to go through all of the previous seizure activity that she went through before, and she has just blossomed now. We've seen her now starting high school and everything else with just being able to be with friends, being able to maintain and stay at school each day because she really enjoys being there, being able to continue and do all of her other activities. She loves to go bowling, she loves to ride horses, play soccer. She's really an active kid.
How do you accommodate her with her seizures while she's riding the horse?
It's great. The program actually there's one person that leads the horse, and then there is sidewalkers, is what they're called, on either side that just put a light arm over each thigh while they're walking with her. She can ride all on her own, but that safety is there just in case she were to have a seizure. That's to ensure that she doesn't fall off the horse. And I actually am one of her sidewalkers, so I enjoy being that close with her. I enjoy being around the horses as well, but it's a nice way for me to be close and do the activity with her too.
With you being a pharmacist, what advice do you have for parents who have kids with seizures and they're exploring medication to treat the seizures?
It's to really pay attention to how your kid is acting, if they're acting different, if they seem more melancholy, if they're sleeping more. So the hard thing about seizures is it's lightning in the brain. It's hyperactivity. So how do you stop hyperactivity? You have to slow things down. And finding the right combination that stops seizures and also allows the kids to function. The parents really need to be a part of that conversation. The practitioners see them for a brief snippet, and the family has to kind of take care of it from there. And just really paying attention to and not worrying about everything. But we've had some medications that we could tell within a week would make her angry. So we would get off of those. And then some other drugs, you have to be patient. They don't work right away. And some of the drugs, because of how they act, you can only do a few milligram increases for 2 weeks. And, it might take a few months to get to the right level. And then if the drug doesn't work, you can't just take it off. So then you have to wait and taper it back down for the same amount of time. So the unfortunate part is that there's a lot of patience needs to be had by the family too.
What was it like for you when you first realized that she might have a disability?
It was definitely difficult. So being in the healthcare field, she's had 30 medications. That's my business. So it's difficult to think that my line of work kind of hasn't failed her, but has not helped her with what she needs. But it's hard to separate the medical knowledge from the parent. And that's one of the things that we had to learn over time. So when she first started having seizures, we used to count every little seizure she had and mark down, and we had pieces of paper that we tracked everything. And the hard part about that was it was almost like we had a patient at home and not a kid. But at the same time, when I describe to people what it's like to have to worry about her having seizures, is I tell people with kids, I'm like, well, think about the time your kid had a flu and how worried you were and how sick they were. Well, that's kind of like this every day. But you do get a little bit of, numbness from it. Some people would see a convulsive seizure and maybe freeze, but we're kind of calm and collected because we've seen it before, and it's been a reality for us since she was 7 months old.
How long did it take you to find the appropriate medication that reduced her seizures?
We've tried multiple meds. The other thing is with a child's brain, the brain is rewiring and making new connections, which can be healthy ones or seizure-derived connections. And the seizures change over time. So, we've had some periods where she was very, very stable, and then some periods where we were giving her rescue medication every other day. It's not easy to be patient with that kind of thing when your kid is, having kind of suffering, I guess. But when she comes out of it and the times in between when she's acting like this and so happy, you just kind of embrace those moments. Right?
I noticed that when it was just me and her and she was giving me hugs, she would often break the hug just to look at me and smile.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She loves to make that eye contact. Makes me feel like she means it.
Thank you for the hug. Do you know what she's thinking when she does make that eye contact?
I think it's her way of showing that she's enjoying your company. Right?
I'm enjoying your company too. Here comes a boop. Boop. Boop.
You like that, huh?
How long does she like that for? You even emailed me. I said, is there anything I should know of best ways to connect with Kaden? And you said, just give her a boop.
Oh yes, since maybe since she was 5 or 6 years old. And it's just continued, right? You always love the boops. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3, boop.
When did you start to realize she was non-speaking? And tell me about the process of understanding that may be a lifelong thing.
When she was about 18 months to 2 years, through up to that time, she was doing advanced babbling, and we didn't suspect that there was going to be any type of speech delay or non-speaking. Then as she got to 2, 3, the words weren't starting to come, the sounds weren't happening as often, or there were different sounds. She still does make sounds to this day. It's more vowel sounds. The consonant sounds are what had stopped at that time. And so then when we were speaking to the neurologist, it was either due to the seizure activity she was having, possibly medication side effects, possibly autism spectrum disorder that was causing the non-speaking. And we, in our minds, we had continued to be told by speech therapists, things like that, that if language development doesn't happen between 5 to 7 years old, then it's likely not to happen. I'll never give up. We're going to continue to try, whether she says words or is speaking to us in a different way of communication. We're going to continue on for that. But as far as actual language, around that time, 5 to 7, we realized that the words may not come. But through that time, we were always trying to find a type of communication method for her that would work best.
Would you say, as she's gotten older, she's about to turn 16, have you grown to understand Kayden more?
Yeah, she, as we changed medications and the seizures kind of slowed down a little bit, really feel like that she was able to express herself a lot more to people. Even, she is a teenager. She will definitely whine and let you know if it's something she really doesn't want to do.
What are some of the things she doesn't want to do?
She gets extra work at home so that she can continue to learn. So when she comes home from school, she doesn't necessarily want to do any extra homework, right? So you will whine about that. She doesn't necessarily like taking her medications, but some days she just doesn't want to take them. But she'll do it anyway, right?
What is something you want others in your community, family, friends to know about Kayden that you think might go misunderstood?
I think so much about her being non-speaking. I think sometimes unintentionally, people maybe are unsure how to communicate if they're non-speaking, but because of how well she understands and has that skill of receptive communication, and she understands what people are saying, I think just giving her some time and, like I said before, just sitting with her and interacting and making that eye contact and having that conversation just as you would with anybody else, and you will see her express back to you.
If you're interested, I also have one of your favorite sensory toys in my pocket here. Whoa. Has she ever shown frustration that her receptive communication skills are higher than her expressive?
Yes, 100%. It does get very frustrating for her at times when she is trying to express something to you and you aren't understanding what she's getting. But she will continue. If there's something she's trying to reach for, something that she wants, she'll continue to tap you on the shoulder, move you over a little bit as she's trying to gesture towards something.
Does she love sensory, any type of sensory, like the toy she has right now?
Yeah, and a lot of people think that if you have a seizure disorder that lights and flashing lights can trigger things, but only certain types have that, and she doesn't. So she actually loves to have her eyes as close to flashing lights as possible. When she has these little toys, she loves to put them up to her eye, and right? And you like all kinds of strobe lights and flashing lights and cartoons that have a lot of flashing colors.
Have you learned what triggers her seizures?
The hard part about it is, since we have an undiagnosed disorder, it's hard to tell what things will trigger it. So we have lots of different factors. We have noticed that she that she tends to have them when she wakes up. We notice that barometric pressure changes when storm fronts are coming through can trigger them. Being overly tired during the end of the day or in midday can trigger them for her. And then hormonal changes. So the hard thing is that there's not a whole lot to treat those kind of things. I don't know if a place like San Diego would be more stable in terms of weather, but weather comes in and out, and we just have to be cautious. Yeah.
Those are good hugs.
Does she primarily hug and become affectionate with people you introduce her to, or will it be like random people in the grocery store?
Sometimes it will be at random times, usually with friends. It's a very typical thing. When she knows somebody, it's giving good big hugs. But there are times, especially if it's kids, she really loves going up to kids, even if they're a random kid in the grocery store, right? Because you like making new friends.
Are you saying kids her age?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, kids her age and younger.
So she does have that desire to connect and form similar aged bonds.
Yes, absolutely.
If you had to create kind of a guidebook of how somebody can be Kayden's friend if they're meeting her for the first time, what would you write in it?
It would be to just know that she's gonna connect with you on a sensory level with touch. And if you can get past that, everything else is good with her, because that's her language, is touch.
What is the most important thing you want others to understand about Kayden?
I would love for people just to understand that giving people a chance, sitting and taking time with them, and give them a chance to show you who they really are. Because even if you just sit with Kayden in silence right next to her, that expressiveness, even non-speaking, is so incredible because of the physical connection that you have when you sit with somebody, that there are so many friends we've seen her have all through the years that she's met, that the two of them will just interact so naturally and without using any words. And it's incredible. And that's what I think, as far as you being able to just be with people, Kayden, you really enjoy that interaction.
Thanks for watching SBSK. Click subscribe here to be part of our community. Then hit the notification bell below so you never miss a story. You can even meet another friend here. See you next time.